Hello everyone, welcome back to Project Pro YouTube channel. This is me Simran Anand, and in this video I'm going to be explaining you a really interesting as well as a prominent topic of artificial intelligence and data science, which is natural language processing. So I'm going to be explaining you this topic as a tutorial divided into three different parts. Today's video is going to be the part one of the topic. So let's get into the plan. So this particular natural language processing tutorial, I'm going to be explaining you into three parts. So in part one, which I'm going to be covering today, is that NLP techniques for text pre-processing using NLTK library in Python from scratch. So this is going to give you, this is a perfect tutorial for the beginners, especially because it will help you to understand the various NLP techniques that you should be adept at, and that I'm going to do it demonstrate it using NLTK library, which is natural language toolkit. Coming to part 2 and part 3, which are going to be our upcoming videos. In part 2, I'm going to be explaining you how to develop models, machine learning models using natural language processing to classify texts. I'm going to take a corpus of text, explain you the concept behind text classification, which is again a real life use case of natural language processing. It's going to be a hands-on project as well with the demonstration of the code. So I'm going to be explaining you text classification, clustering and similarity concept along with word embedding, how to actually vectorize words. Coming to part 3, which is going to be actually the really fascinating topic of us, because question answering system chatbots are, there are a lot of advancements these days in such fields of question answering, or be it even next word prediction. So next word prediction, question answering system, these all are the different natural language processing real life applications, I would say. I'm going to explain you that how to deploy such systems and end-to-end pipeline of NLP with Fast API. So Fast API is a web framework which is similar to Flask, but it has differences between, there are differences between different deployment models and different deployment frameworks. So that we are going to see how to deploy such, question answer systems and end-to-end pipelines using Fast API. So coming to today's part 1 tutorial about NLP techniques, before delving into the different NLP techniques and talking about, what all you can do in NLP using NLTK, I would like to first explain you what is natural language processing, and then take you through some of the best NLTK NLP project ideas which you can actually practice, and these are going to be the real life use cases or applications of NLP itself. So natural language processing is a subfield of artificial intelligence. We can consider it as an intersection of computer science paradigms as well as computational linguistics, which deals with and it is concerned with the human interaction between the computers and the humans. So when I say interaction, human language is very difficult to understand by the machines, because machines can only understand zeros and ones, as we all know. So the task of actually, or the technique, I would say, scientific technique of actually programming the computers to analyze and process large textual information of humans, be it any textual data written by humans, or the speech data as well, spoken words. So the concept of analyzing that by machines is going to be dealt with natural language processing. That was all about what is natural language processing. Coming to the different, n number of applications these days. As you know, these, where you must have already been acquainted with content generation platforms, or be it any other software you're using, or recommendation engines, or even the large language models like ChatGPT, which has gained momentum, it is gaining prominence. So you all must be aware of the various use cases of natural language processing. So NLP is such a concept which is applied in almost every domain, I would say. It's even applicable in businesses. Businesses are actually using natural language processing for actually for sentiment analysis, I would say, for analyzing their the customers' feedbacks, the product reviews, and so on, and to maximize the profits of their business and so on. So not only in business but also in, when I said about resume passing or optical character recognition, along with CV, it's also named entity recognition, which is named entity NER, which is named entity recognition, is a concept of natural language processing. So all such are the various use cases of NLP, I would say, and the most prominent one especially is text classification problem, which is again sentiment analysis, part of sentiment analysis, and also some concepts like say question answering, which is again the chatbots which are depending on question answering systems, virtual assistants, or be it next word predictions, These all are again real life applications of natural language processing. So the project ideas you can look into are a document classifier using NLTK. When I said document classifier, you can actually consider documents. Each document can be representing as a vector and then classify them. So the concept of topic modeling will come over here, where you can also use Python libraries like Gensim and NLTK's word embedding model to learn about document classification. So we can say the topic, each classifying each document and tagging it or labeling it into categories called as topics. You can look into topic modeling. So learning to classify text, multi-class product categorization, and so on. The next one is using NLTK for sentiment analysis. As I've already told, is again, sentiment analysis is a part of text classification. So when you're actually classifying text, be it, whether determining the sentiment or polarity of a text, be it if it's a positive or a negative, that is sentiment analysis. You can look into this, how NLTK can actually be used for sentiment analysis projects. You can also, actually word embedding or word vectorization can be done by different means. Like you can use glove, or if you've heard of TF-IDF, which is most prominent, or even word2vec can also be used for converting or vectorizing the text into vectors, numerical features. So coming to next is text summarization using NLTK. Text summarization is, a very useful concept, because we of course we do not have the time to actually go through and skim each and every document or be it research papers and a huge chunk of text. We actually want to get the text in the short form. So to do that, especially the InShorts news app and so on, they all leverage the concept of text summarization. So this is a wonderful, fascinating project which you can look into, and you can make use of NLTK as well over here. So that was all about the applications, introduction to NLP concept. Now coming to the main, plan of the video, which is about NLP concepts, which is the NLP techniques I would be explaining you one by one, how to do them and I'll, implement them using NLTK library. So firstly, I've installed NLTK. This is how you install, pip install NLTK in the Google Colab environment. Then followed by, now see, corpus is a set of text. Now NLTK has its own corpus. Like how you see, NLTK is, as I've told, natural language toolkit is a library which is a package especially which can be used for performing all the NLP tasks. And anyone who wants to actually, is working in NLP should be adept in NLTK. So when I say NLTK, similar to NLTK, you can also try out Spacey and so on. But even Jensen. But we can stick to NLTK for proper understanding of NLP concepts and the techniques. So when I said from NLTK.corpus import movie reviews, since we're going to look into how to develop models, classify text and so on using the inbuilt movie reviews data set of NLTK. So this is taken from the submodule corpus, which is from NLTK. Now import NLTK to download popular, because see, each NLTK has a set of stop words, punctuations, word sets and so on. We want to get the most popular corpus of text to actually implement the tasks. So after importing all the necessary words, now we have to also import the stop words from NLTK corpus. After doing that, after downloading the stop words, we are going to download the words in English language, by the way, because now you can see the package has been, it says the package stop words is already up to date and it has already downloaded the list of stop words. So now to find actually how many stop words have been downloaded in the NLTK. NLTK has 179. It says over here stop words in English are 179. Now what exactly are stop words? So I'm talking about these NLP concepts, like just importing the NLTK library. I've told you what is NLTK, how to install it. You can also go to the official page of NLTK site and learn more about it in general, but then to know about what exactly are the stop words, corpus of text and so on. So stop words are the words, like if you can see over here, I, me, my, myself are listed over here. This is a list of the set of words which actually are integral to the grammatical nature or logical structuring of the sentence, but they do not add any significant value or any meaning to the sentence. So even if I remove all these words and actually work on classifying the text, my model is going to give me a good result, I can say, because see, these words will not be useful. They can act as fillers because they don't actually contribute to the meaning of the word. So what I want to classify text, when I say classification of text, say into positive or negative, I want to only gain the keywords and remove the stop words. So when you actually are emphasizing on the keywords, you are putting attention on the keywords and removing the stop words. So that is why when I talk about text pre-processing, stop words removal is an integral part of text pre-processing, I would say. And see, not only NLTK, but even Spacey and Jensen have their own set of default stop words. Of course, you can customize and build your own stoppers in NLTK as well. But for this purpose, demonstration purpose of stop words removal, I stick to the default stoppers downloaded. So after doing that, coming to the tokenization concept. Now see, before actually removing stop words, we have to tokenize the words, to tokenize each string. Now when I say tokenize, see this is tokenize is the word underscore tokenize is the library again, submodule of NLTK. So since we are actually making use of NLTK, what exactly is word tokenization over here? If you see, this is text corpus given over here, natural language processing is so fun and so on. And the result after tokenization, after applying word tokenized library, result is a list. So when we have a string and you're actually getting a list of chunks, or chunks are nothing but the tokens here, and tokens is considered to be each character of the string. So when I say even in the punctuation mark like fun, exclamation, this exclamation is also to be treated as a separate token. So token is nothing but a character of a text which you are, when you're converting a text, a huge chunk, a huge text into a list of chunks called as tokens, separate components. That is called as tokenization, and that is very much important because we need a list of tokens in order to compare which are the stop words out of these list of words, and then we can easily remove the stop words from this list of word tokens. That is the advantage of tokenization, and that acts as a pre-processing itself. So now the difference between split, this somewhat feels similar to the split library in Python. Split actually does not read the punctuation marks. So when I just say split, the next one says fun and exclamation. So fun and exclamation will be not treated separately. That is the split concept. But then tokenization is separate than the split in the way it deals with punctuation. After tokenization, this is what we're going to do. See over here, split. By the way, this is split. After applying split, you will see fun and exclamation are together. Now coming to the send tokenize over here. Now you can see word underscore tokenize and send underscore tokenize are both tokenization libraries from NLTK, and you can actually compare the performance of both of them, how the results are. So when you see both are returning as lists itself, but when you are applying send tokenize, it's not actually tokenizing over here. It's not giving us any tokenization because we are actually dealing with words. So word underscore tokenize will come handy over here in our case. Coming to, so now that you've understood about tokenization in general, now you should also be familiar with stemming concepts and lemmatization concepts when I say about NLTK, to talk about any kind of pre-processing of text. So when I say stemming, the difference between stemming and lemmatization, let me generalize and put it to you. So stemming is basically when you're chopping or stemming words and converting the various words can be any form. Like when I say running, it can be ran, run, running, and so on. You're converting them into the base form of the word. That is called as stemming. But then in stemming, it just chops out the last suffixes of the word. I can say if there is an ing form, it just chops out. Then the base form of word is returned. But in some cases, like when I say language, if you see over here, language is chopped off. Even natural is just chopped off as nature, without an e, or even language without an e. So that does not even convey any meaning to us. It's not a proper base word or not any word in English dictionary, right? So that is why stemming is not preferred, and we go with lemmatization techniques. So when I say stemming and lemmatization both are equal, the difference you should understand is lemmatization is nothing. It's also converting the words to its base form or the root form of the word, which is called as lemma. But then the base form, which is lemma, actually has a meaning. So the semantic concept, when I say semantic, the meaning, along with the syntactic, which is syntactical concept, which is the grammar, is preserved. Even the meaning or the semantics is preserved in lemmatization. So in stemming, you have there are three types of stemming: Porter stemmer libraries, Lancaster stemmer, and Snowball stemmer from NLTK, which you can actually see the difference, how actually they are stemming. We don't see any much difference between the way in which they are stemming. But then I can say in general that lemmatization is the preferred one than stemming, but in some cases we can actually even go with stemming. So when I say NLTK WordNet, so for lemmatization, WordNet Lemmatizer is the is the library for lemmatization from NLTK, and it has this lemmatization capabilities from WordNet dataset. That is why the name says WordNet Lemmatizer. So when I'm actually lemmatizing, you can see over here natural language processing and so on. It's actually, firstly, this is tokenization. See, when I'm doing stemming tokenization, firstly, we need to apply word underscore tokenize. We need to first tokenize the string into a list, so that instead of a string, we actually get a list, and then we operate, be it lemmatization, stop word removal, or even stemming, we are actually doing it on a list of words, list of tokens. After doing that, word let lemmatizer dot lemmatizer words. So when you're actually, lemmatizing to, make you understand what is the lemmatization of burst, it's going to give you burst itself. But when I give a argument to the same function, I'm giving an argument POS is equal to A. Now, what is POS? It returns bad over here. And similarly, if I for ran also POS is given, it returns run. Now, if you see here, both are giving the base form of the words, which are lemma, but then the outputs are different here. First case it's giving burst, but then when you add POS over here as argument, it's giving bad. This is a variation over here. So POS is nothing but parts of speech tagging. It's again a concept in natural language processing. Like there are different concepts like intent classification, named entity recognition, even POS are parts of speech tagging. Now, what exactly is this parts of speech tagging? It's again a text pre-processing concept. Parts of speech tagging is any word, any speech, any text or any speech. It has different parts of it. So when I say parts of the speech, they are like nouns, pronouns, adverbs, beat phrases, adjectives, and so on. When you actually being able to tag the different parts of speech appropriately, and for that doing that, you can also make use of the POS underscore tag library of NLTK. So when I explain you over here, as you can see on my screen, NLTK or POS tag tokenized words. We had a list of words. See above, the tokenized words are natural, are separated by language, then processing, and so on. This is a list of tokens. On applying to other POS tagging with this library or tokenized words, we see natural language processing. Each of them is separated as an entity. So when you can say each of them is a separate object or a component of this list, you can say we can consider the natural token to be mapped with JJ. Now this can be considered as a key value pair when we are actually doing POS tagging. Now you don't, these codes JJ, NN, you actually may not even know them because they're hard to decipher. We can actually say NN may be a noun, but then what about BBZ, RB, and so on. So for understanding what are these keys referring to, key mapping referring to, you can actually make use of NLTK.help tag set. By making use of the tag set, help of the tag sets, you can actually understand what the full form of these are. So if you see here, RBR stands for adverb comparative. So now that you understand RBR is adverb, then you will see what exactly RBR is over here and what it's matching with, and so on. And these are the abbreviations, the full forms of the words, which are the abbreviations given to you, so that you can understand how exactly the POS tagging or the parts of speech tagging is done with NLTK. Now that you've understood about how exactly the NLTK, pre-processing is done and what exactly is the different NLP techniques which you should be aware of, let's also understand, since in the next video, by the way, I'm going to be explaining you text classification on movie reviews textual data set. But in this movie reviews of words, just like to get an overview of what kind of data we're going to use, this is the length of the word, and the movie reviews has two categories, negative and positive. So that's why we see the main motto over here was to classify text into positive or negative, which is binary classification. That is why the concept of stop words removal was important, because for classifying it into positive or negative, we don't actually need those stop words like is, are, the. They don't add any significant meaning. They cannot be considered as keywords. That is why we are removing them. Now then, frequency distribution, to understand how many times they are repeating, or the number of occurrences of each word. That is why we are getting overview of that. We can make use of NLTK or freak dist over here. Movie reviews of words to get an overview of the, see, we are passing in this particular .txt file data, and then parts of speech, and we'll be getting the list of words. Coming to the, actually, after importing the movie reviews data set, this is how it looks, text and label. So we have two columns here, text and the label column. Text can be treated as the feature column we are actually going to work on. That is, the text column is actually used to classify whether it is positive or negative. Label is the output. See, label is now we can say this is a supervised learning concept because we have the labeled already. When you have a labeled data set, that is called a supervised machine learning. So we have labeled data and it has zeros and ones. So since I'm just printing the top 5 rows, we have all ones over here. So ones can either convey positive or negative. So that's the case. So if you see here, the text is also having tokens in it, a list of tokens. We can convert it back to text also, that is string form as well. So on doing that, now you have to understand that, you see, before we build a model, we have to actually convert this text and convert to a vector, because we cannot directly apply model machine learning on string data. As I told, it needs to be encoded. Now that encoding and all I'm going to be explaining in the next part of the video. part two. But to give a brief overview, again we are importing the text. We are again pre-processing it by importing stop words, and in order to apply, we are going to for each row. Now, previously I was just explaining you with a word and with a sentence, but instead of doing a sentence, you can actually apply NLTK, NLP processes in all the rows of the data frame as well. When you have a tabular data set which is structured, you can apply NLP techniques over here. So like stop words, I'm removing stop words in each sentence of the data frame. If it is included in this, if it's not included in stop words, then only it will be included in the text column of the data frame. Otherwise, it would not include the stop words. Then after removal of stop words, the lemmatization is done over here. I'm not going with stemming, I'm going with word net lemmatizer over here because of the better results it gives, the meaning of the word. Now, after this, we are going to get the text dot values. So to just get the number of, the length of the text, the number of rows in the text column of the data frame over here, we can just see top 5, but the number of rows are 2000 rows. So our data set is having nearly 2000 rows. Now we can also convert it into string. As I've told you, we had each row in the form of list form. Convert to a string form using empty string dot join, and followed by this we can actually convert the list into a string. Then we can to get an overview of the most common features of the words, because we cannot actually operate on so many words, right? There are many words, but then the data set we have, like the movies review data set, but to get the most common words, we have these 15 words. And of course, as it's a movie reviews data set, word like film, movie, one character, and so on will be the most prominent or the most recurring words. The length of all text is going to give the total rows, and that is around 7 lakh ones. So that is the 7 lakh 10,000 so on. So that's the total length of the all text. Now, what is all text? All text is the string. We have, after converting each row of the data or each record of the data frame into a string form, the paragraph, we get the length of that. So each row is in that particular paragraph of the string. Now we are now this particular concept of featureization is going to be actually applicable in the next part of the video, because that is where we're going to develop the models, and we need a target variable which is y, and x which is word features. Now word features is the x variable over here, which we are actually converting it, featureizing it basically by to convert into a sparse matrix. When I say sparse, it is like sparse encoded matrix, because each string of the word feature has to be converted to encoded form. That is a numerical feature form, because models can only operate on numbers. That was all about this text pre-processing concept, NLP techniques that you should be familiar with. I hope I have given you a brief overview on natural language processing, and this video will be a perfect one for anyone to get started with natural language processing, because it deals with NLTK on how to actually leverage this NLP concepts using NLTK, which is I would recommend the library for anyone to get started with. The upcoming videos, there'll be more fun, so do not miss out, and I'm going to be explaining you how to develop models. And finally, we'll also be looking into transformers, Hugging Face transformers, how we can actually, instead of building our models, we can also use pre-trained transformer models for performing interesting tasks like question answer generation and next word prediction, and then deploy them using Fast API, which is again a prominent web framework for machine learning. So do check out Project Pro website to know more, because it has blogs, tutorials, recipes. It's a curated library of solved end-to-end project solutions, and all the projects are developed by top industry experts working with the top global tech companies. Stay tuned on the Project Pro YouTube channel. Thank you.